Hi there, Dr. Julie Hartman here with the mindfulresourcecenter.com, and I am excited to hop on with you today because I want to teach you two of our activities that we do in our confidence and coping groups, which are skills-based therapy groups for kids, middle schoolers, and high schoolers, and they are a hit. And what I find is that it really helps with building connection. So they get to be a me, which means they get to focus enough of the time in these two activities where it's largely about them going inward and them getting a sense of like what matters to them, and I'll explain the activities in a minute. So they get to be kind of a me and focused on themselves, but then it's also a we activity, right? So they also get to be a we because they get to have some talk with each other and they get to kind of bounce ideas off of each other, and then ultimately at the end of the group I invite them to share their creations as a way to stretch those courage muscles, grow confidence, being their authentic selves in a nurturing, trusting environment. And then it feels good to get noticed for who you are, and so they also wind up feeling good in a group setting where they feel some belonging and some acceptance. And all of those variables tend to help buffer the stresses of the growing pains that can come with the development of these types of behaviors. And then also, you know, it can be hard, particularly if some of the members of our groups have ADHD or have anxiety or who struggle with learning disabilities or with depression or self-esteem issues. So it feels really good to be able to do these activities in a group where you feel extra supported. So if you are hopping on live, I would love to know that you're here. Let me know who you are and where you're from and what about these types of activities interest you, and I'm happy to answer any of your questions. Okay, so the two activities in particular that I'm sharing today, one of them I call your inside-outside masks. And this actually is a old art therapy exercise. You can go on Pinterest and probably find lots of different activities related to this inside-outside mask, but sort of my twist on it and my associates here at the Mindful Resource Center, we actually use white paper plates. I'll show it to you in a second. White plain paper plates, and the inside of the paper plate is where you put the things that are unique to you. And what's specific to you and who you are that you know and you carry around with you all the time. And then on the outside of the plate is about how other people see you and how you present yourself to others. And what we explain is essentially how we are members of society and groups, and I will give you a script after I do an introduction of these activities, and I will help you figure out how to bring this home. And it's a wonderful, wonderful family-oriented activity to grow connection, and so that you can be working on helping the young people in your home grow their confidence and their courage and stretch their sharing muscles. And that it also is really nice to model as parents and give them a window into kind of who you are and what's in your heart and mind. In fact, I taught a parent about this recently, and she had said, wow, I realize I want to be sharing more of what's on the inside with me because I can see the value of that modeling. Okay, so the first activity is called inside-outside masks, and I will share a little bit more about that in a moment. But the second activity I made up, it's a totem pole activity. And basically, you know how in certain cultures, like Native American cultures, what I think of, you know, it has different symbols on it, and that tends to represent something about the tribe or something about the values of the community. Well, we do that activity individually, and I have them make a totem pole, and they use various stickers and gel pens and things like that to put different symbols on it that represent traits related to their personality or values that they have or things that they want more of or that they like to have in their life. Okay, so before I go more into the value of these exercises and how you can bring them into your home, let me try to shimmy myself around so that I can actually show you some samples and you can see if it's something that interests you more to continue to learn more about it, right? But I know you're busy and you've got things to do, so if it turns out that this little tutorial is different than what you thought it would be. You'll get a scan of it, and then you can kind of log off and do your other stuff. Okay, so here we go. Let me see if I can do this. So, I don't know, can you see that here? Let me see. Actually, I'm going to do it this way. Hang on a minute, I'm going to turn it around. Okay, there we go. So here's the mask, all right, and this is the paper plate that I mentioned, and on the inside here are traits and qualities of what is inside that the person walks around with and lives with all the time. So on here you'll see happy, but you'll also see tired. This person likes the sun, also mentioned wild, lots of hearts. There's a really interesting eye here. The tears represent some sadness. You know, there's a heartache on there. The waves, you know, she had said represent, you know, some of the turbulence of her emotions. In particular, this is a middle schooler that gave us permission to represent this for you all. The lightning bolt, some anger there, some insecurity, right? And then also on the outside, all right, so how she believes people see her is bossy, happy, secure, confident, nice, reserved, too talkative. So other members in our groups will do more pictures. Other people will do more words. What's really interesting with the members of our group, once different members start talking about the, let me turn this around here. Once the different members start talking about their experience of inside themselves and then how people perceive them on the outside, it starts giving other members of the group ideas. So it was really interesting as one of the members mentioned tired, and then I noticed a number of other members started writing the word tired on the inside of theirs. Interestingly, no one really wrote tired on the outside, and I had kind of asked about that, and you know, a number of them shared that it's hard to show when they're tired on the outside because they feel like they get a lot of comments from the people in their lives that, well, you get to sleep later, or well, you should have slept better last night, or well, you should have eaten all your lunch, or one person said, well, don't use that as an excuse not to get your homework done, or something like that. And I don't mean to make it sound like they're surrounded by all these, you know, critical people or anything like that. I happen to know that pretty much all the parents that are associated with the youth in our groups are awesome, but this is their experience, okay? So they're sharing what their experience is, which is really valuable and important. You know, they've got their own brain filter that is interpreting the world and making sense of the way they're supposed to be. And so that was a really interesting a bit of awareness that I discovered. Okay, so I'm also going to show you the other activity. Now again, if you are on, I really welcome you to say hi. I love interacting live. Certainly there'll be plenty of people who watch this on the replay, but if you happen to be here live when I am, I really would love for you to say hi. Let me know where you're from. Let me know if you have any questions about these kind of activities. Okay, so I'm going to turn the camera around now and show you a second activity that I introduced in the beginning here, and that is the totem pole activity. And so hold on, let me shimmy around here. Okay, you're going to see my office. Okay, so the totem pole activity, I don't know if you can see this. So I kind of, you know, made like a little makeshift totem pole, and I put, this is actually, let's see, I in this one, I didn't put borders on. Sometimes I will put, like you see this here, sometimes I'll put some sticker borders on to make it really inviting. This time I didn't. And here you'll see a bear, you'll see a butterfly, you'll see a symbol of love, you'll see beach scenes, you'll see gorilla, here's a turtle, I like this one, brings her home with her everywhere, right? And so a lot of the youth, I'll actually show you a couple other ones from the youth in the group, right? So this is one that one of the youth members made in the group. Here's another one that another member did in the group, right? And so let me turn it around now again for you. Okay, so one of the things that's exciting about the totem pole activity is it comes at who they are and what matters to them from a different angle. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to introduce to you how to set up these activities in your home so that you can have the kind of success that we do in our groups here at the Mindful Resource Center. We get a lot of engagement in these activities. Most of the time, the members express that they find it valuable, that they want more of these kind of activities, because it's hard when you've got so many developmental demands on you all the time as a young person, distracting you and attracting your attention. It's nice to be able to have an hour a week to be able to focus on yourself and your own goals and your own values and learn skills in a way that can help you get into your own power and get into a way that you can feel secure even when there's a lot of insecure things going on, and they really value that. So I want you to be able to have the option of bringing that into your home, because I know how important that is to parents in terms of them having raised their youth in a way that allows their youth to be confident and bring their best selves forward and to have the skills to manage adversity as it comes. Okay, so the inside outside mask, all right, so I like using a white paper plate. If you don't have access to it, you can certainly just get a white piece of paper. We've done it with a white piece of paper before. Certainly, if you really want to go with the mask metaphor, you can look on Amazon.com, or you can go to your local craft store and probably get white masks if you really wanted to really go with the mask theme. So here's how you describe it. You can basically say, hey, so this could be, let me set it up for you. So it can be as you're driving home from school with your young person, or it could be at the dinner table, or it can be, a knock, knock, knock. Hey, I'd really like to talk to you about something that is really important to me. Nobody's in trouble here. This is actually a really good thing, but I'd really like your undivided attention for maybe 10, 15 minutes so we can talk about it. It's something that's really important to me. Do you think we could do that now, or do you want to do it in a half an hour, or can we maybe do it after dinner, right? So you kind of hold that space that there's something that really matters to you, and you model that self-respect that, for them to be able to exchange some of their time to give it attention is important to you. Okay, so then when you actually sit down, or when you actually have their attention, you can say, look, as you're getting older, we're realizing that there are lots of different lessons that we have that we're in charge of teaching you as parents, and that are really important to us to make sure that we are being a positive influence on you with things that matter to us. And so, for instance, there are certain values, there are certain ways that we want you to consider, like looking at yourself in the world, and we have some fun activities that we're learning so that we can all come together around this in kind of a fun way. So we're not necessarily just like staring at each other and like, tell me what's in your heart and mind. While that's certainly sometimes a great way to do it, there are also lots of other ways for us to come together around things that really matter in terms of our family. So there's this one activity, and here are the supplies, right? So you'll have gel pens and colored pencils, and for the inside outside mask activity, that's really pretty much all that you need. And you let them know that, hey, there's this this activity, and it's called inside outside mask. And the inside of the plate, or this side of the paper, represents what's inside of you, what things matter inside of you. I'm going to do this activity too, and your dad or your mom or brother or sister, or however it is, maybe it's grandma, whoever it is that can kind of come together and do this activity together. We want it to be fun, and we want it to be light, and we want it to be meaningful. So you put on the inside of the plate, or we each put on the inside of the plate, or on this side of the paper, things that matter to us, who we are on the inside. And then on the outside of the plate, or on the outside of the paper, is where you put how people see you, okay, how people view you. And then, to do it, if you want, we can keep it kind of personal and private. And if enough people in our little group here want it to be really extra private, we can actually kind of separate a little bit and kind of guard our area so that it can be something that we really do with ourselves. And then, well, let's see how it goes. My wish is that maybe we might share something, but we don't necessarily have to. It's just being together and working on these themes that we believe as parents are important in our family. And meanwhile, we'd also like to hear about what's important to you, what activities you want to do as a family, right? And maybe they'll say video games, or maybe they'll say more pizza nights, or maybe they'll say the local amusement park, and you'll say, great. That's one of our family values, is for each one of us to make a positive impact on the family, and we come together kind of as a group to support each other. For this one, would you be open to playing around and doing this activity with me? Most of the time they say yes, and you'll kind of fumble through it. And the main thing that's really important is that there's no right or wrong, right? None of it's right or wrong. And I actually encourage that nobody even needs to share. The idea is for you, you're creating a placeholder for them to be able to learn how to discern what is on the inside of who they are, and then what are the masks we wear with each other in the world. And that's not a bad thing. I explain, so kind of here's the rest of the script. You know, I explain that I am a different person when I'm with my husband than I am with one of the youth in my office, than I am with a policeman, and that I am with a teacher. And I'm still me, but I'm kind of different versions of me based on right place, right time, and who I'm with. And what is interesting is to see what crossover you have in multiple situations, and then kind of guessing how you come across to others, and then how things are on the inside. And if there is anything that's super private to who you are on the inside that isn't necessarily expressed on the outside, it can be nice to kind of have that in one place. It's almost like kind of a subtle kind of version of a journal in a way, that there's that self-exploration. Okay, I'm going to move on to the totem activity. So what the totem activity is I explain, and you can do this with your family, that again, you know, it's really important to us as parents that we provide a placeholder in our family for learning about ourselves and for growing our strengths and our health on the inside. It's not just about physical health. It's not just about vegetables and good night's sleep. It's also about how we feel. It's also about how we view ourselves and how we view the world and the skills that we have to accomplish our goals. And so we want to make sure that we're providing enough lessons, and we want to do it in a way that's really fun, and that we can come together as a family and kind of get to know each other and support each other. So this activity, it's called a totem pole activity. And what it is in the Native American cultures or in other cultures, they have these poles where they have symbols on it that represent their values or what's important to them. And there are also these things kind of called spirit animals, okay, where it's like someone's might be a deer or somebody's might be an eagle, because maybe those symbols or those animals either represent personality traits that are important, or maybe they represent values or things that they want to call in and attract more into their life. Right? Or maybe it's like almost a kind of a honoring, you know, so for instance, it might be a sun symbol, and that's an honoring of nature, an honoring of, you know, particularly, you know, harvest or something like that in other cultures. So I give examples of different type of animals and symbols that can represent things. And then in this case, I have a ton of stickers. So you don't have to do stickers. You can do stamps. You can do cutouts from colored paper. You can just do gel pens again, and as you can kind of see here, there's a lot. Like some people have a lot on there, and that they want to represent kind of the things in their life that matter to them and who they are. And one of the other things that I point out is that brains, the way brains work, they are cue organs. So when they get cued in their environment about things that matter to them and they're important to them, brains then tend to remind us about things that are important to us, right? There's this sort of this feedback loop with brains. And so what I recommend is that, hey, in your totem activity, consider putting it up in your room. Consider taping it to your bathroom mirror or something like that, so that you can continuously see things visually that cue you about the kind of things that are important to you. And then you'll tend to notice more and more in your environment. So for instance, I'm looking here, one of the girls in our group mentioned butterflies, and that butterfly kind of feels like her spirit animal because they flutter around flowers and they go through this transformation process as from caterpillar to butterflies, and she's just really attracted to butterflies. They make her feel really delighted when she sees them. And so we had talked about how, if she's feeling in a cranky mood or a lot of pain from a fight that she got in with her parents or with her friends, or she's really stressed out about an assignment or something like that, and if she happens to be kind of outside and she sees a butterfly, her brain is more likely, because she has called that out as symbolically valuable to her, through these type of activities, her brain is more likely to find it to be meaningful, and it tends to help shift whatever emotional state she was in. And you probably have experienced that in some way, shape, or form in your life. And as a family, you can basically point out that there are all these things that matter to each of us. And then you can go around, and if everyone's comfortable, you can go around and share. So it's a great opportunity for parents to be really transparent in a controlled way. You don't want to tell them if you're like at the risk of getting fired or something. You don't want to put that like risk of getting fired on your inside mask or something like that. But you might put the word stressed, or you might put the phrase feeling anxious or insecure or uncertain, right? But on the outside, you might not be showing that. You might come across as having it together or something like that. So I really hope this is valuable to you. Feel free to leave any questions in the comments about this activity, and stay tuned. I really like offering brief tutorials of things that we offer here at the Mindful Resource Center that we get consistent feedback as helpful, and because I'd like to make it available to all of you. And I wish you a good evening. Take good care.